Hi Pisces, welcome to your September 2017 Astro Update. It's Rena here. So for the month of September, the 7th house of committed partnership is emphasized. And it can also relate to legal matters as well as business partnerships. But we typically think of marriage and the equivalent of marriage as being one of the main concerns or the emphasis in that 7th house. And so let's talk about how this all plays out. Mercury did actually retrograde in this house. So something may have there may have been some kind of communication breakdown with marriage issues, and maybe you were even thinking of getting married and you had to call it off for some reason. Because Mercury went retrograde on August 12th, and when September rolls around, Mercury will have dipped back into Leo, and that is your 6th house of work. And so that could have you rethinking or renegotiating something to do with your work in connection with your relationship. So there are many different scenarios that this could imply. And one of them is that you may be someone who has had to kind of alter your work schedule in order to save your marriage. For other people, it could be that you were planning on getting married and you couldn't do so for whatever reason. Maybe you couldn't fit it into your work schedule, so you have to revise that area of your life before you can get things back on track. Okay, whatever it is. On the 5th of the month, Mercury goes direct in that 6th house. What is it, 4 days later, on the 9th, it's back in Virgo. So it's back in your 7th house. But it's going to take a while for it to get back to the same degree it was when it retrograded. This is called coming out of its shadow. When it's still in its shadow, it still can wreak havoc, pre-retrograde and post-retrograde. The shadow period shows an active possibility of things still going awry. Okay, so you need to look to around the 19th. I think it's the 19th or the 20th when Mercury goes back to the degree it was when it retrograded. So you can fully move forward around the 20th, which just so happens to be a new moon in Virgo. So it's very interesting how these transits follow one another. Because on the 19th, Venus goes into Virgo in that 7th house on the eve of that new moon in that same sign of Virgo. And so I think that around the 19th, you're going to see things iron themselves out, smooth things over around that time, because Mars is going to be there as well. Mars goes into the 7th house on the same day that Mercury goes direct in the 6th house. Mars in the 7th house can really be about legal issues. So I don't know exactly how that plays out for some people. I guess it's always possible that you have some people who are trying to get a divorce so they can marry somebody else. And they're really trying to speed the divorce along. It can simply be that there is some conflict within your relationship. Maybe it's an ongoing conflict that you were dealing with around that August 12th date, and it's coming back for review now. But really, whatever is going on, realize that Venus will be saving the day on the 19th and smoothing things over. There could be also with Venus there a monetary gain from some court decision. And I wonder if this is even inheritance related, because you do have some energy in the 8th house, which can deal with other people's money And I would say especially inheritances, because, or even like for a divorce type of agreement where you're getting something of the partner's money or maybe joint finances. I don't know how you would characterize it. But let's see. The reason I say that is because Jupiter has spent the last year in Libra in that 8th house. And Jupiter is a planet of luck and expansion, so it can make something happen in regards to somebody giving you money, leaving you money in a will or something like that. And I'm connecting the dots here because of all of that activity in the 7th house. Yes, it's possible that it's some relationship issue, but it can also be possible that you're kind of dealing with a will. But it seems to me that you may get paid from this situation starting on the 19th, maybe going onwards, but at least that could be a breakthrough time. And because Mercury will be up to speed by then, it's like everything is all systems go. And let me see what else is happening for you. Oh, yeah, and then the sun goes into that 8th house as well on the 22nd of September. That's the autumnal equinox in the northern hemisphere. And that's when the sun goes into Libra. So that's your 8th house. And that could be, you could be dealing with something along those lines. Now, one thing for you guys, you have a full moon in your sign the very next day after Mercury turns direct on the 6th in the 1st house. So again, connecting those dots, you might be letting go of one part of who you are, or maybe you're just really kind of cleaning house in some way. And it's interesting, you have Neptune in Pisces as a transit, and now, you know, Neptune has been retrograde. So for Pisces people, you may have been dealing with a lot of truths, kind of, making themselves known, putting it right in your face. And you are the dreamers of the zodiac. So when you have your ruler retrograding, it can be a little bit harsh reality check for some of you, because you may be particularly affected by this. You may see things about your life that you don't like, or that at the very least you're not willing to tolerate anymore. And you might be saying, I'm done with this, I'm done with that. So this may be a time when you kind of have a full-on purge. And this is the very next day after Mars goes in that house of marriage and other and legal matters and things like that. So there may be some connection to that. You may be like, you know what, I've tried to make something work and I can't, and I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. But I feel that even if that's the case, that you have somebody else in your life that you are looking forward to spending more time with once you kind of get over this, the legalities of something. And the other thing I wanted to say too is that with Jupiter in the 8th house, you're enjoying the final time of getting deep within yourself. The 8th house is a water house, like you rule the 12th house, and the 8th house is Scorpio's house. So with Jupiter there in the last year, you may have gotten really involved with metaphysics. It may have broadened your horizons. You guys are naturally very psychic. So this is not something foreign to many of you, but you may have been doing something more formal in your training and maybe you've been taking classes on the tarot or whatever, and it's really expanded your horizons. And it could have even had something to do with a marriage of like seeing it in a different light, and that could have either spelled the demise of a marriage, or it could be that you were able to save a marriage too, or enhance a marriage because you were able to see life in a different way. And this is just going to continue in the month of October, because on the 11th of October, Jupiter is going to be going into Scorpio, and this is a fellow water sign for you, and that is the ruler of that 8th house. But in your chart, it's going to be in the 9th house. Now I'm talking about well, I'm not going to get into that. The solar chart for Pisces Sun and the natal chart for Pisces Rising. But that is going to be a time when you may broaden your philosophical framework. So it's like an interior expansion and then an exterior expansion. You may be doing a lot more traveling in the coming year and touching upon people from different countries and different lifestyles, and it can be a very heady time. So I hope that you enjoy this September period. It looks to me like there's a lot of relationship stuff. And who knows, you may finally nail down a date if you're looking for a wedding date, particularly by the end of the month. Or you could be looking forward to a new committed relationship. So I wish you all the best, Pisces. If you'd like a private reading, I have many different types, including my natal chart interpretations, which are now on sale. Good luck to you in September. Bye.